I'm excited for this episode. I have a very, very special guest. Um, he is not only the founder and CEO of Forte Build and Design, but this man has been a friend. He has been a brother. He has been a mentor to me. I've seen how he's grown from literally a scrawny young guy and now to this beautiful, strong guy that we have in front of us who has grown
Let's go.
through so many experiences. And literally, a lot of people doubted this man. And when I look at him now, they're now praising this man for the things that he's done and where he's come. And I know this is only the beginning for him. And there's so much more where he's going to be going. So I'm very excited. We have today Mr. Louis Stephen Parada Jr.
Hey, Jerry.
How are you doing, brother?
Good, brother. Thank you for the kind words, man. I appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Thank you for talking to me. I know you're a very busy guy, so you taking the time, away from your family to be here with me today, I do appreciate that 100%, so thank you for that.
You're welcome, man. Anything to give back to our community.
And that's what I love. Just kind of before we start, Louis, tell me, what is the ultimate pizza for you?
The ultimate pizza? Simple, man. Ham and pineapple.
Ham and pineapple.
Yes, sir.
Ooh. And do you have a specific spot that you would say, like, this is where I have to have it from?
Anywhere, man.
I'm good with that.
I'm not picky. When it comes to food, I just eat.
For me, if you guys are wanting to know, Pizza Hut stuffed crust. Let's put some pepperoni and some jalapeno on that. Give me a little bit of that buffalo wing sauce and some ranch, and I'm gravy.
Let's go. We'll get some pizza after here.
I'm for sure. Yeah, let's do it. So, Louis, for the people that don't know you, give us a little background about yourself. How old are you? What's your nationality? Where were you born and raised? And a fun fact that most people don't know about you.
Yeah. So I'm 30 years old. I have 3 beautiful kids, a beautiful wife, and I was born in Harbor City but raised here in Long Beach.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's something that a lot of people don't know about you? What's one little thing? Surprises.
Man, I don't know, man. I'm an open book. Everyone knows everything about me. I don't hide anything.
Well, that's something unique. If you want to know about Louis, ask him. He'll for sure tell you.
For sure, man.
Awesome. So Louis, as I know, you are in the construction industry. Tell me, kind of walk me through, how did you get started? What year was it, or early stages? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I went to college. Well, I'll tell you before college, because before college, I think since I was probably 11 or 12 years old, I always wanted to work.
Okay.
And I started going with people from our church, either to do electrical work, paint, demolition, construction. So I always had the work ethic.
Okay.
And I love money, man. Like, since I was little, I knew that money bought things, so I wanted to work. And so in high school, I think it was my junior year, with a few friends of mine, we started a company called For My College Lawn Services. And we basically would do lawn work over the weekend, specifically Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
And for us, it was just like a marketing thing, right? So for my college, so all these people will go knock doors, and most white folks are excited for you to go to college. It's like, hey, this Hispanic guy is trying to get money for college. So they would give us yard cleanup, landscape stuff, and we'll cut grass and all these things, and we'll just make money. And so that was kind of like my first company that I did even before I graduated high school.
And for the people that did give you the opportunity to let you mow their lawn and do their stuff,
Yeah.
Was that money really used for college?
No, man. I mean, I had financial aid, so I didn't need money.
Okay. So you've always had like that hustle mentality, like, hey, like, business minded. You were always wanting to do something. You were always not scared of actually doing work.
Yeah, correct. So I always trying to find a way to make money, even when I was, like I said, young and before I graduated high school. And then before I graduated high school, a good friend of mine, his dad was a VP of a aviation company. And he said, hey, you should go study for airplane mechanic. And the reason why is, look, I was an airplane mechanic, and I was able to move my way all the way up to VP. It's a big company. And he said, if you go study airplane mechanic, I'll get you into this company, and then I'll teach you the steps to make your way your way up.
To move fast.
Yeah, and so I said, okay. So me even studying for airplane mechanic wasn't like, I was already thinking of where I want to be in the future. You know,
Right.
It wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna go study and just be a mechanic all my life.
Or I'm gonna just go get money.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, that sounds like a good plan. I'll go study that, and then I'm able to learn from this guy how to move up in this company.
And probably in a lot shorter time than how he got up.
Correct.
That's good. So you started in aviation, and I know you said that you used to work with some individuals from your church in construction, electrical work. So where did you make that shift from aviation to
Yeah.
where you're at now?
So man, life is crazy, man. Things change all the time. And so when I was studying for airplane mechanic, this guy that had said, "Hey, go into this, do this," he moved out to another state, and he told me when I finished school, he flew me out there, said, "Hey, I'm out here now, but I want you to come work here. You could house with my son, and I'll pay everything. You guys could work from out here." But at that time, I was studying. I wanted to study for business as well.
Okay.
And I was also dating, so I was like, I don't know if I really want to move across the country.
Yeah.
And so I stayed here in Long Beach, and I started studying or doing like a business classes at City College to get my associate's degree.
Okay. And so now you're studying business. You didn't move out of the state or to follow this other gentleman. So now you're in City College. You're studying business. Where did you go from there?
Yeah, so I'm studying business because business always intrigued me. I always had like an itch for that, and so I'm studying it, and I'm meeting a lot of people doing business and the teachers and all these things that really like excite me. And then I needed a job. I needed a job, so I went to apply, and I became a teacher assistant for special ed students, which I think you were in one of those classes, right? Well, not in the special ed class, but in one of the classes that my students was in.
Yeah, one of your students was in our class. He was in our economics classes when I
Yeah.
was in 12th grade, and yeah, I saw you in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was there helping out and going to school, trying to learn, and then always obviously making money. But again, it was just like money's so limited
Right.
when you're working. I think for me, it's not for everyone, but as an employee, you're always limited because you can only work a certain hours.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they dictate that they have for you, that's what you do. And so I was working there, and one summer, because obviously school wasn't in session, I'm a part-time for the school district, and this guy reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you help me run my business over the summer? Like, basically not run my business, but help me with invoicing, help me with, getting the structure of the company."
Like business admin.
Yeah, and he had asked my dad what he was doing. My dad said, "Hey, my son's taking classes. Maybe he could help you." And so he actually gave me opportunity to help him organize his business and do other things there. But it was crazy working with him because the owner of one of the contracts that he had basically said, if you guys could get me a contractor's license, we could get you a lot more work.
Okay.
And I don't know, man. I just started calling everyone. I called my dad. I said, "Hey, who was the guy that built the patio at your house?" And he gave me his number. I called that guy. "Hey, man, do you know anyone that can help me get a license?" Like, "Yeah, he recommended this guy." And I was like, "Hey, can you recommend me someone?" And so he recommends me with someone that had a contractor license school. I'm 22 years old.
Okay.
And so I'm there, and I'm like, I'm just trying to move things forward all the time, right? Just pushing things forward. So I say, what do I need to do to get the license? And he says, these are the steps. And he gives me the steps. I'm like, all right, I'll get back to you. And I think the next day or so, he said, actually, there's another way of getting your license. We could get it pretty fast, and I could help you with that. And I said, let's do it. And so I think 2 months after, I had my contractor's license under the guy that hired me to help him run his business. And it was crazy because then later we had a fallout. And here I am with the contractor's license, have no experience in construction. And I'm like, I'm going back to work at the district.
And so what it sounds like, I mean, just from that short little bits that you give us, so you're somebody who is not afraid to talk, someone who's ambitious, You're willing to network with all these individuals, and you pretty much have this like I won't stop till I get what needs to be done
Yeah.
mentality, which is great. So you had a falling out with this individual. You have this general, your license, and right after that, you just decided to go back to the school district.
Yeah, because I had no experience, and I had the license because the license is under my name. So technically, even though a company brought it out, it's under my name, so it's my license. And I was like, all right, but I can't use the license. I don't even know how to do construction at all. I don't know anything about it. Okay. So I believe I went back to the district, and while I was working there, because school session had started, so I'm working.
Okay.
And I'm like, in my head, I don't know why, and God probably acts and gives you things that you basically when God tells you something, you have to just move on it, right?
Right.
And so for me, I think it's like, hey, you have a license, try to get projects. And back then, Craigslist was hot. I mean, you get whatever you want on Craigslist.
Yeah.
And so I go on Craigslist and it says, General B contractor needed. General B contractor needed. Homeowner looking for someone to do work, right? And so I'm blasting out emails, man. Like, I think I was doing over 100 emails a day. Just going ham.
So
every single post, I'm like
everybody.
Posting. Yeah, copy and paste, just responding. And, one of my first jobs was crazy. This guy's like, I need a painter in West LA. I don't know how to paint. But I'm like, yeah, I have a truck. I can do it. Yeah. And so I go get a good painter, and we go look at the house like, oh, crap. And I said, hey, you do all the hard stuff. I'll just, go to the little room, and I'll paint the little stuff. He's like, all right. But, I don't know, probably made like $500 there. Not much. Mm-hmm. But when you have no income, that's crazy, man. It's a lot. And so did that. And then through Craigslist, kept getting more work.
And how old are you? So I know you say you were about 22. So were you about 22, 23 when you did this first job?
I was 22 years old.
22 years old. And you did just some general painting for some guy in West LA.
Yeah.
So you blasted out about 100 emails.
100 emails a day.
100 emails a day.
Yeah.
So you were out there really just blowing
I was
everybody.
Grant Cardone before Grant Cardone. Crazy.
So you're blasting out all these emails every single day. How many responses would you say you would get back?
Probably half.
Half?
Yeah. And some people, they'll say, hey, I have this, and that. And then I'll respond. And sometimes they just want to pay way too cheap. So it just didn't make sense.
So from those, say half of those emails you would respond back, how many jobs were you starting to line up throughout that week or from
not
those
a lot.
Emails? No.
Yeah, not a lot.
Okay. So when did you say like, hey, like I'm still going to proceed this? Well, I mean, because it sounds as though there's some obstacles there, but
it's sweat equity, man. It doesn't cost me anything to put in the work.
Right. Okay. So sweat equity.
Yeah, I'm just putting in the work. It doesn't cost me anything.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm at the house sitting down, if I'm at the dinner table, if I'm watching the Laker game, if I'm in the restroom, it don't matter, man. I'm sending emails.
Okay. So what was the next job that you had lined up that you can remember, like hey, I can actually do this and proceed?
Yeah. Probably small repair jobs that I got like a referral to, and all these jobs at the beginning, I'm losing money, by the way.
Wow.
Because I don't know anything about it. But if you would see me there, then I was pumped to do every job. It was crazy. I don't know how you could be pumped about losing money.
So you were losing money. You were still excited. It was something fresh and something new for you.
Yeah.
But it still motivated you to keep going.
Yeah, correct. And then when we really got serious, I told my wife, hey.
So you got married pretty young. Yeah,
I was already married. And I tell my wife, hey, you know what? I'm really thinking about like going 100% to our business. But our expenses are our expenses. And I think I want to talk to my parents if we could move back into their home so we could get this business going. And so we made that sacrifice. I mean, I wouldn't say I made a sacrifice because my parents are my parents.
Right. It's more.
But my wife, I think she made a sacrifice saying, hey, she was okay with us moving back to my parents' house.
And by the way, how did she feel you doing this and losing money?
She was excited.
She was excited.
Yeah,
as you
she
were.
would sit there and support me and help me and say, what do you need? and she would just help me. It's crazy, man. But it's like without money, and she's like, yeah, I'll help you.
That's how you know you have someone that's willing, literally, to ride or die for you, no matter what the cause is.
Yeah, man.
You cast a vision, and she was like, "Well, hey, I'm here with you."
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you're married. So how old were you when you got married?
I was 21 years old, almost 22.
Okay, so you got married at 21, 22. That's when you got your generous contract license, and now you're getting these jobs. You're moving back into your parents' house. Was that? I mean, I know she was excited for you, and how long did it take you to? So now you're getting these jobs, but what was the next step from there?
Yeah, so and I think I told you this before, but for the first full year, um, even living at my parents' house was like the hardest because there was really no money at all. And the first year, so in 12 months, I made maybe up to $8,000. I think I told you.
Yeah, I remember
$8,000 in the whole year, man.
That's less than $1,000 a month.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I got $1,000 a month. That would have been perfect if it was like that. It was just like $500 here, $600 here, $1,000 here. It's just spread out, and still trying to learn the business too. But also I was learning how to network and how to connect with people. And for me, it's like every person I talk to, like I said, I send emails out and people respond to me. I'm like, okay, now I learned a way not to talk to people. And now I learned a different way of messaging people, because now it's like they're actually listening to me or they're responding, and now I'm getting their attention.
Yeah.
So every time I would get a response and I look at it, it's like, hey, I learned something new on how to deal with this specific type of person.
So even from that sweat equity that you're putting in, you're getting $500, $600 here. You're still motivated, and you're still continuing to proceed this journey, but you still, like, a lot of people at that point would have quit.
Yeah.
I'm not making no money. I'm losing money. They would have just quit.
Yeah.
But you, for whatever reason, saw the opportunity. Like, I'm learning something.
Yeah, for me, I think at that point, and I think it's always been this way for me, it's not about the money. And it's just about learning, and it's like you're planting something right now for the future. And so if I would think about money, I think 99% of people that think about money, they quit. Yeah. Because they don't see money, they're not going to do it. But it's about, laying your foundation now, and then what you're going to attain later.
And it's like you said, you're planting those seeds, so you know that trees don't go overnight.
Yeah.
Plants don't go overnight. They take time. You have to water them. You have to get in the light. You still have to make sure, hey, if there's weeds there, you got to go and take them out. Make sure that you're taking care of it. So you're learning. You're getting all this knowledge. Now you're starting your business. You had no experience. What did you do to kind of learn the business more?
And so after those first 12 months that I said were really tough, I think it was in month 11 or so. It was month 11. Again, and a thought just came to my head one day and said, you're doing this construction thing, you're learning, you don't have a lot of experience, which is something too that I want to mention. Is like, you have to know your blind what's it called? Your blind spots. Your blind spots, and know, like, hey, I'm doing something that's not working. What can I do to change? So you pivot to something, right? And so I'm like, it's not working out for me right now. What could I do? And then this thought came to my head. Says, why don't you apply to be a construction project manager for a firm where you can learn from a management team how to do construction or how to manage construction? And good old Craigslist again.
Craigslist was your best friend at this time.
Yeah, man, it's free. Yeah. And, on a side note, it's kind of Instagram now, right?
Right.
You leverage it, and it doesn't cost anything. It's just you putting, again, your sweat equity, putting posts, networking with people. It's just the same thing. So Craigslist is what Instagram is now.
Yeah.
And so I go on Craigslist and I start applying. And construction project manager, send your resume. So I'm like, okay. So I do a resume, send it, and then they'll respond saying, we saw your resume, but you don't have this. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to add this to the next resume I do. So I go and I edit the resume and fix it, and then I, again, apply, and same thing. And then now I learned how to do really good resumes after like 50 rejections. And it's crazy because at the same time I was applying there, then I would see other job postings and I would apply. I'm not lying, man. I probably applied to like 150 jobs. Not
Wow.
lying. And it's no one called me back, which is even crazier. But
There 150
yeah,
resumes submitted.
at least, because I was going to Craigslist doing that, and I was applying like at LAX for, I don't know, plane service or FedEx or whatever it was, because I had my airplane mechanic stuff too, and no one ever called me back on those. And so I finished, I finally get a call from a real estate development company.
Okay.
And I go into the interview, and again, it's just this thought in my head again, which is crazy. And it's something about, I'm like, I work for this company here. We have a detailed scope of work, which is like an itemized construction proposal. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to print this, put it in a folder, and I'm going to take it with me to this interview. So I walk in with this manila folder and papers in there, right? And I put it there, and I'm talking to interviewers. And they're like, hey, we saw your resume, and we called you. But we asked for 10 to 15 years experience, and you only have 1 year experience. I said, correct. But I think what I bring to the table is valuable to your company.
What was that?
And, well, me. I was valuable. It's just confidence, man.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, yeah, we like that. And so I said, tell us about what you're doing. So I explained to them I was a contractor working for investors, and I kind of know the system that you guys like, and this, and that. And so they kept asking me questions. I kept answering.
I answered correctly.
Yeah, and well, maybe, I don't know. I was 22 years old or 23 years old, so I don't know what I've never been interviewed, by the way, because at the district you just get hired and that's it. And so I say, and then the guy says, "What do you have in that folder?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I should have showed this to you guys at the beginning." And so I open and I show it to them, and they're like, they pass it to the other person. They look at it. They go, "Hey, this is exactly what we're looking for." Wow. And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I brought this because I learned this at this other company. And if I work for you guys, I could train or teach you guys how to use this itemized proposal." And there was 5 people interviewing. Everyone else had over 10 years experience. And then 2 weeks later, they called me and said I was hired. And that basically, the shift in my life was huge there. Because I think I've told you that in that first month, they paid me about $8,000.
Yeah, which is what you earned
exactly
last year.
And I was like, man, like if I would have gave up and quit before, I would have never seen this. And so it was crazy. And my wife's just like, "Hey, you're making so much money." I'm like, "I know. Like, I can make money." Now I'm all confident, right? But yeah, it's just crazy. And I always tell people, like, don't give up, like, in month 4 or month 10 or month 12. Like, you got to keep going. Because as long as you put in work, things are going to work out for you.
And so for a lot of people going from making $8,000 a year to making now $8,000 in a month will completely change a person, because that money, you're like, "Whoa, I never had this much money. Like, now I can go and do this, and I can do that, and I can spend." Do you feel that now you making that money change your demeanor at all? Or did it kind of fuel you to like, "Hey, let me go ahead and use this to kind of help me start my own business," or
Yeah. So I basically, within the in that first month that I made that money, the first thing I did was register, and I believe I registered Forte Build and Design. And it was a company that me with one of my cousins, Joey, we came up with the name, and we established that company. But basically using my earnings into putting money into registering the name, and then working on like a logo and just trying to establish what our company is now. But it was just like, I got money now. I did spend and bought some things. It was not like crazy spending, but my first like money came in was invested into my business now, into what I have now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Another thing was crazy too. Our church left the previous church, right? In that same year that I got hired, 2014, because I got hired 2013 December, and we left 2013 December and started. And I always and for me was like, hey, I promise, I made a promise. I said I'm gonna help church and with tithe and offering and give as much as I can. And I remember the first service because we left in the church, and I said I gave money I did not have, but the same, like, it's crazy because I see my story as my company as the same way I see the church, because I
Yeah.
was like, dude, by faith I'm gonna give here, and then God just has blessed me. Like this whole journey's like goes hand in hand, which is crazy. And I forgot. I mean, I hadn't mentioned that before, but it goes hand in hand to that. And I told my dad, hey, because he asked if people could give some money. I said, I'll be one of the persons that's gonna give X amount of money to like start off our church.
Right.
But my business is starting off at the same time too. And I also relate like success to obviously God, because he helps us out, but also being willing to give to like church and giving back to like God and our tithes and all that.
And even through your giving, to the church and starting your business, and like you said, not even having that money, you were basically walking by faith. You had no intentions of, hey, I really need this money for my business, but I'm gonna go ahead and invest it over here.
Yeah.
And even then, do you feel when you started doing that things just kind of started falling in place for you, where that money that you needed kind of just popped up and showed up somewhere else?
Yeah. Yes, because also I think that maybe that's why I keep going back to, oh, well, this thought came to my head. And it's not a thought, right? It's like it could be God talking to you and telling you, hey, do this, do that.
Yeah.
But it's because you also, not that I'm a perfect Christian, but you're like in sync with God too,
Right.
and how He leads, right? And so you give by faith, God's gonna provide for you, protect you, and He's gonna bless you.
And that's amazing that you say that, because I feel, especially now in a time where it's almost kind of taboo to talk about things like that.
Yeah.
About your faith and your religion and what you believe in, and not being ashamed. You see that you're standing up for what you believe in, and God is continuing to bless your business.
Yeah.
And how would you say that your business is doing now, even through this whole pandemic? There's a lot of people that have stopped construction because they're scared.
Yeah. We keep working, man, and it's just we have to be careful on how we work and guidelines, and it's slowed down a little bit, but we're still working, and so that's something that we're grateful for.
And the good thing is that you're working, like you said, because there's a lot of people that lost their jobs, are not working, and you continue to get these jobs. What has been your biggest obstacle through this?
Really no obstacle. It's just actually it's slowed down a little bit, so it's actually been kind of a breath of fresh air, where you could restructure and reset things, and be able to do things that are gonna propel my business to go to the next level. And I think it's more of a time of reflection.
Okay.
Even though you push forward and you're pressing forward, but you're also planning and reflecting on what could I do to make this better.
So you're using this time as a blessing in disguise, really,
Yeah.
to restructure the way that you want to build your business.
Correct.
And what would you, so for some other individuals that are in the same field as you, what kind of words of encouragement, or what would be some advice to you? Because I know you're a very giving person. That's who you are. When someone comes and asks you something, you're not afraid of someone like, oh no, I'm gonna keep this information for me because I only want to be successful. You're like, again, you're an open book, and you're willingly giving information out. So to some of the people that might be seeing this that are in your same shoes, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I don't think we're ever gonna have this much time off, and so using it the right way, it's gonna help you propel your business, help you grow and focus, and be able to like a launching pad, just explode into what you want to do. Because life is just, there's so many things that happen in life, a lot of things that happen, situations, family, business, a lot of things happen. But at this time, life is slow. I don't know if you feel that.
Yeah.
But life is slow, and it's like, okay, what could I do? Can I take an online course? Can I do this that I hadn't done before? I'm spending more time with my kids. I'm spending more time with my wife. We're doing a podcast. and we're trying to launch other things. And so it's like it's a blessing in disguise because you're able to, if you focus, you could look back at this pandemic and say, through that pandemic, I came out and my business exploded, and I haven't looked back since.
That's kind of give me chills.
Yeah.
Like, and it's crazy because it's something, yeah, and it might be kind of funny to you, but I thought about Ferris Bueller. If you've seen the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there's a part where he's saying, like, sometimes we're moving so fast that we forget to kind of just stop and really, like, take in, the beauty.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, this pandemic can go both ways. You can really take the time and just close out and fade away all the negative stuff that's going on in the background and really focus on where you're at. What is it that you're doing? What kind of skills can I add to my arsenal to help me, like you said, be a launchpad to really explode my business? So that's amazing. And, what are some resources, or are you reading any books right now that are kind of helping you, or what is it that you're doing exactly?
Honestly, just looking at a lot of entrepreneurs are online, either on Instagram or YouTube. It's just like there's so much information out there. Books are good, and I like reading books. We're always moving, and so in the car or wherever I'm at, I'm always trying to listen to something. So podcasts are really good. I like podcasts where they do Q&As with the guests, but also with people.
Yeah.
And so you also get this perspective, and it's just learning, and you can learn from anything. Sometimes I look at podcasts where it's Gary Vee talking, and someone asks a question, and I'm like, dude, that question was more powerful than the answer.
Yeah.
Because, like, where the heck did that question come from? It just starts making you think, right? So you can learn from anything, and just wanting to learn, and having that mindset of learning, it's gonna take you a long way.
And that's amazing that you said that, because it can be the smallest thing that you can hear, or you can kind of fall upon it and just hear someone talk, and there can be one little phrase or one little golden nugget that can really that you just needed to hear that day.
Yeah.
That can shift and really realign your vision with the path that you want to be on, and the answer that you just needed.
Yeah.
Like, and it just kind of just clicks. So if you can go back and say, talk to 18-year-old Louis, you're 30 right now, so go back in time in 12 years, if there's anything, any advice or anything that you can tell yourself, what would that be?
Yeah, man. So I think I shared this with you and other people, but I went to the Grant Cardone 10X conference last year, I believe. And it's the first time I ever went to any event like that. And coming back from that, being there, because I had heard of him and I was like intrigued to go and hear him. But on the airplane on the way back, I read the whole book, the 10X book. The 10X book. And I had never read a book in my life. And so, dude, I've gone through a lot of things, right? Through business and other things, and lost a lot of money, like just had a bunch of problems and things. But I'm like, wait, if I would have read before, and again, when I started, there wasn't these motivational speakers. There wasn't no one like a guru teaching you online how to run a business like it is now. So my advice now is, like, the younger you are, like, get into books, read, connect with people, get on podcasts, learn from entrepreneurs, because you're going to avoid all these mistakes that we all make. Startup mistakes. You're going to save a lot of money. Tony Robbins says that you should turn decades into days. That's powerful. Turn decades into days.
Wow.
So right now, let's say I've been in business for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
If I would have had more information, Bobby Cash says all the time, it's all about information. How much information do you have? And so if you're able to turn decades into days, you're saving a lot and you're making a lot more money.
Yeah.
So that's where I think people should be at right now, is learning. Always be learning. And I would say always be working, man. Because if you learn and don't put any work in, it doesn't work. I mean, it's not going to work at all.
That's amazing that you say that. I love that so much. Turn decades into days.
Yeah.
Really maximizing your time, especially right now. You know, a lot of people that are working less hours that now have this extra time that they never had before, like you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And what are you doing with those minutes, those hours, those days that you can accumulate? Because in reality, now, like you said, you turn decades into days. Now you have all these extra hours for things that you wanted to do,
Yeah.
and are you actually doing that?
Yeah.
And you mentioned Bobby Castro, who's an amazing man, and one of the things he always says is non-refundable minutes.
Yeah.
What are you doing with these non-refundable minutes that you probably won't get back for God knows how long? And I forget who said this. It might have been Ed Milet, but he says that you know he takes about, I believe it's like 6 hours, and that's a day for him.
Yeah.
So in those 6 hours, what people are doing in 6 hours, whether it's laying down, taking naps, or just being on the phone on Instagram, or just kind of wasting time. What he did in 6 hours is already one day.
Yeah.
So he's already ahead of you a full day, and the day that you're still working on or doing whatever.
Yeah.
So really maximizing that time and really having a schedule and an agenda on what they're doing. So that's awesome that you said that, and I'm glad that you said that. And what's one quote or something what's something that you tell yourself every day? Do you have something that when you wake up, this is the first thing I got to tell myself?
Honestly, no, and but I want to work on that, on basically having, we talk about goals and planning, all that stuff, but I also think a lot of people also get caught up so much in planning that they don't do the work on. And so right now I just focus on work.
Just work.
Yeah,
work.
I have
work.
on top of my head what my plan is, what my goals are. I don't have like a quote that pumps me up. I think I've always been passionate about anything that I do, anything and everything I do, and so waking up, it's always, how could I get better today? What could I do to get better? And what could I do to move forward and accomplish what I want to accomplish, and bring, leave a legacy for my family, and help as much people as I can.
That's awesome. And what are some things that you're working on right now for this year? I know there's a lot of projects that you have working on right now, but what's your goal? What is it that you're currently working on that you're excited about? And where do you see yourself at the end of this year?
Yeah. So our construction business is growing, and we're doing a lot of work right now. And then working on, we started talking about this yesterday, but and I think I've told you, I've been passionate about nonprofit and doing community work. And so partnering up with you and other people on creating a nonprofit where we could help people grow, bring value to them, especially underprivileged people.
Right.
And just bring value, man. Just help them, and being able to give back to the community. I mean, I think if I could help one person, I could die a happy man. And so that's basically all I want to do, just help out someone.
And that's what I love about you, Louis. And there's something that I read, and it's something that has that reminds me a lot about you as well. And it's just a small quote, but the quote is, "Don't trade your authenticity for approval." And when I read that, and I think about you, because like you said, you are who you are. You're an open book. And from the moment that I've met you to now, which I've known you for I don't know how many years, but it's been about 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And you've always been that guy that hasn't changed. You don't change who you are, and you don't trade your authenticity for approval of anybody.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And I'm glad that we're able to do this. That we're partnering up to do this this nonprofit. It's gonna be something amazing. And kind of like I asked George, previously, what brings you to want to get back to the community? Specifically talking about Long Beach, what makes you so loving about this city that you want to get back to this city?
Yeah. Man, I've obviously, I said I was raised here, went to K4 through 12th grade in school here, went to community college here, my business is here, my kids were all born here. It's just like, it's our roots, man. And it's like, it's where I feel at home and where I want to leave a lasting impact. And you talking about the authenticity thing is crazy because I think I was in 2012 or something. I would always write this on my Facebook. I would put, "Don't live life a copy. You were born an original." And so for me, that's powerful, man, because I think I've always looked at that. Even when I would always say this to myself, I'm like, I don't gotta be a copy of no one. I just be original. Because if I'm original, no one's ever gonna be like me.
Yeah.
If I'm a copy, shoot, there's like a lot of copies, right? So that's something that I've always had in my mind. So when you said that, I just remember that there's little things that if we keep talking, I'll start remember. Oh yeah, I remember this impacted me and this impacted me. But it's little quotes and stuff that you read that just really change. And if you really implement it, it's gonna make a difference in your life.
That's amazing, and I think what a more perfect way to kind of finish this off.
Yes, sir.
I could keep talking to you forever, but
this is episode 1 through 10. Right?
Don't live your life as a copy. You were born to be an original.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Louis, where can people find you on social media? What's your handle? What can we find you?
Yeah, it's Louis Parada Jr. at Instagram. At Louis Parada Jr.
And that's almost across all your platforms.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So, Louis, again, thank you so much. You guys live your life as an original. You're don't
live your life a copy. You were born an original.
You're born an original. Let's go. Thanks so much, you guys. Love you guys. Thank you, Louis.